Welcome back to Trigger Point Tuesday, and for today we're going to go back into the lower leg real quick and address a pretty difficult area to get to right here in between the gastrocnemius and the soleus. So if you take a look at my nice calves here, I'd like to thank my mother for these calves. Right in between where that gastrocnemius and the soleus comes through, and right up next to the tibia, we have some fascia that runs through here. So there's one that runs right through this way called the transverse intermuscular septum, and then in between the gastroc and the soleus we have the gastrocnemius aponeurosis that runs through there. Now these are little areas of fascia that if we become dehydrated or anytime there is a lack of movement, it can become very sticky. So what we're going to do is use our 2 trigger point massage balls here, and we're going to reintroduce that motion right there through that. This is going to help to address the soleus, but it's also going to help address that flexor digitorum longus that's right there next to the tibia, and with enough compression we can go slightly deeper and get a little bit to the posterior tibialis. That's going to help us get better mobility through this area, but it's also going to help us stabilize our arch. So to position here, we're going to take one leg out to the side, take one of your trigger point massage balls, place it right in between where we saw that little teardrop there of the gastrocnemius. Now the next one's going to go directly on top of it, and I'm going to do a little bit different than what's in our normal programming. I'm going to use my opposite leg here to increase compression. So this right here is going to be my position. So we're going to start off with 4 pivots and 2 pulls. So I'm building compression here. Big breath in. As I release, I'm going to pivot. And remember, our pivots is to work through that superficial tissue to get deeper. Big breath in. As you release, pivot. There's 2. Breathe. There's 3. One more here. There's 4. Now for these pulls, what I'm going to try to do is grip the ball this way and just pull back off the tibia. So I'm not really rolling over the muscle. I'm trying to grip and pull in. We're going to do that 2 times. 1, and again, build that compression. 2. Now what I'm going to add in here, notice this leverage. I'm going to push away from my ankle, and I'm going to add in dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. You can really feel it get deep. Build that compression. We're going to do 4 of those. There's 2. 2 more. There's 3. 1 more. Build that compression. And 4. Perfect. So you can work through that 2 or 3 times. Also, take note there how dehydrated I am. You can work down the tibia and back up the tibia. So start right there where those 2 come together. Address that first, 3 to 4 rounds total, and then over time you can start to work down and up. That's all we're going to cover for today. So remember, 2 trigger point massage balls. You're going to work in the angle there, build that compression and apply tension up. Be sure you breathe. Be sure you stay hydrated. We'll see you next week for Trigger Point Tuesday. Good luck.